The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship with Foyle Legal. For advice tailored to your situation, please consult a qualified legal professional. Welcome to WA Injury Claims Explained, your trusted source for understanding personal injury claims in Western Australia. Each week, we simplify complex legal issues, from motor vehicle accidents to workplace injuries, so you can confidently navigate your rights and claim the compensation you deserve.
Ever find yourself dodging potholes and suddenly you're thinking, what are my actual chances of a crash right here, right now in Australia?
Happens to all of us, right?
Totally. So today we are diving deep into road risks.
Not about fear-mongering, though.
No way. It's about arming you with the knowledge to stay safe.
Exactly. Moving past gut feeling and getting into the data.
Which is where this blog post we have from Foyle Legal, they're a personal injury law firm over in Perth.
They really break down car accident stats in an interesting way.
They do. And they start off by saying that, statistically, fatalities on Aussie roads, fairly low.
Yeah.
But something about that just feels, I don't know, a little misleading. It can't be the whole picture.
You're spot on, because focusing just on fatalities gives us this really narrow view of road safety. The article actually mentions the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, AIHW, and they paint a much bigger picture.
How so?
Get this. Over 61,500 hospital admissions from road accidents.
No way.
In a single year. Just 2021, 2022.
That's huge.
And those are just the ones that, weren't necessarily fatal.
It's like we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg then if we just look at fatalities.
Exactly.
There's this whole other risk going on underneath.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets interesting, because the article then mentions this database, the International Road Traffic and Accident Database.
IRTAD.
Yeah, the IRTAD. And apparently it goes way beyond just how many crashes.
It does.
It's about the why.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with IRTAD?
It's like a gold mine of information if you really want to understand road safety. Okay.
You track, things like the road conditions, weather, even how roads are designed in different countries.
Wow, that's a lot of data.
It is, but that means Australia can learn from, not just our own data, but from the experiences, the mistakes other countries have made.
Right, so we're not just relying on what's happening here.
Exactly.
So how does Australia stack up in all this? Because, the article does say Australia's fatality rate, it's actually been getting better.
It has, yeah.
It has.
Definitely.
But then...
It's not all good news, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's this worrying trend, and the article brings this up, that serious injuries, especially for cyclists and motorcyclists, on the rise.
Oh, wow.
And this highlights a really crucial point. Road safety. It isn't just about people in cars.
True.
It's about everybody who's out there sharing the road. Exactly. And Foyle Legal seem pretty passionate about this because a good chunk of their post is about how vulnerable pedestrians and cyclists are, even those e-scooter riders now.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're everywhere these days.
They are. And that ties into Foyle Legal's work, right, as personal injury lawyers.
Right.
They're seeing what happens after these accidents.
They see it firsthand.
Exactly. And what's interesting is the article, it actually connects these trends with things like, more people cycling for fun, for commuting.
Which we are seeing a lot more of.
Yeah, all across Australia.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that road safety, not one size fits all.
No.
We got to be aware of all the different people out there, especially the ones who are more vulnerable. But even with all that, all the external factors, the article doesn't shy away from, let's be honest, the elephant in the room.
And what's that?
Driver behavior.
Right, yeah.
We can't ignore that, can we?
We can't.
And the article lists all the usual suspects when it comes to car accidents.
Yeah.
Speeding, distractions.
Looking at you, phones.
Yes. Phones, impaired driving, aggressive behavior.
I've seen them all.
Oh, we've all seen at least one of these play out on the roads, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And what's kind of powerful about this article is they don't just, present those in this dry statistical way.
Sure.
They bring it back to the human element, behind every statistic is a real person making a choice.
Exactly. It's about empowering drivers to make better decisions, not about pointing fingers.
For sure.
One thing that kind of jumped out at me was the article's take on age and risk.
Okay.
Because that stereotype about like the young reckless driver.
Right, yeah.
This article kind of flips that on its head.
It does, yeah. It cites data from the National Safety Council, and get this.
Okay.
Over the last 10 years, the biggest increase in fatality rates hasn't been teenagers.
Oh, really?
It's actually the 25 to 44 age group.
Wow. See, I would put money on it being teenagers.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
It's fascinating, isn't it? It shows that experience alone doesn't make you, invincible on the road.
Right.
The article suggests that maybe as we get older,
Yeah.
overconfidence creeps in.
Yeah.
Complacency. Become comfortable behind the wheel.
Too comfortable. Yeah.
A little too comfortable.
A bit like that saying. Familiarity breeds, well, if not contempt, then maybe a little carelessness.
Yeah, I like that.
Like you get used to the roads, you think you've seen it all.
Yeah.
But it's a good reminder that road safety, it's an ongoing thing. It's not a one-time achievement.
Exactly.
You don't just unlock it.
It's a practice.
And speaking of complacency,
Yes.
remember that IRTAD database?
I do, yes.
One example the article gives is roundabout design.
Okay.
Apparently, Australia learned a lot from the UK's experience
Wow.
with roundabouts,
Interesting.
which I am all ears because I've had a few near misses in roundabouts in my time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
hit me.
So, early days of roundabouts over in the UK, there were actually quite a few accidents,
Oh,
just because drivers weren't used to them. But the IRTAD data, it helped identify design flaws
oh, okay.
that were actually making things worse, causing confusion, collisions.
Wow.
And what's interesting is Australia was able to take that information and design those changes from the get-go,
That's amazing.
which ultimately made our roads safer.
So sharing that data internationally is so important.
It is.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But, even with all this talk about like statistics and risk factors,
Yeah.
the article doesn't leave you feeling hopeless.
Right.
It comes back to a point they made earlier about the power of prevention.
It does. And, this is where their perspective as personal injury lawyers, I think it really shines through.
Okay.
Because, yeah, they give really good advice on what to do if you're in an accident.
Right.
Exchanging information, taking photos, of the scene. Yeah.
Seeking legal help if you need to.
Right.
But the way they frame it is interesting.
Okay.
It's almost like they're saying, this is worst case scenario. Let's try and make sure this never happens.
Well,
Yeah.
like, here's what to do if you need it, but hopefully you never have to use this information.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not just about knowing what to do after an accident.
Yeah.
It's trying to avoid one in the first place.
Right.
And that, for me, brings us right back to driver behavior.
It's that ounce of prevention thing, right? Like, we can have all the legal advice, but
Better not to need it.
exactly. And that's where I guess that human element that we keep coming back to,
Yeah.
it's so important.
Yeah, the choices we make, they have real consequences.
They do.
Not just for us, but everyone else on the road, too. And, that's something this whole deep dive has really hammered home for me.
Yeah.
It's not about, follow the rules, obviously.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
it's more than that.
It is.
It's about taking responsibility, making the roads as safe as we can.
It's a team effort, right?
Yeah.
The article really emphasizes that, like road safety.
It's all of us.
Yeah. It's got to be a culture of being aware, consideration for everyone.
Everyone.
Drivers, cyclists, pedestrians, the e-scooter folks, everyone.
We're all just trying to get where we need to go, and hopefully in one piece.
Exact.
So, those fatal crash stats might be lowish, but the chance of something happening, fender bender, near miss, something worse,
Oh, it's higher than we think. Definitely.
way higher.
Yeah.
It's good to keep that in mind.
It is. It's about, I think, shifting from that it won't happen to me to what can I do so it doesn't happen to anybody.
Yes. So next time you're out there, remember,
Yeah.
it's not just about point A to point B.
It's not. No.
It's about being present, aware, making choices to protect not just us,
All of us.
but everyone around us.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
This Foyle Legal deep dive.
Yeah.
A lot to think about.
It did. It really did.
Hopefully giving our listeners a whole fresh take on road safety out there.
For sure. Stay safe, everyone.
That's all we have time for on today's deep dive.
See you next time.
Until then, stay curious and stay safe out there.
Thank you for listening to WA Injury Claims Explained by Foyle Legal. We hope this episode helped clarify your rights and next steps in your injury claim. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and visit foylelegal.com for more useful information. See you next time.